Hello, my name is Brant Hunt. My channel is simply discerning what is true. I'm going to continue tonight. This will be the third installment of the reading of this particular book, which is called simply Kabbalah and Exodus. This is chapter 19. This will be coming from Exodus 18, and the title is simply called Teacher Taught. So let me change the color of this particular deal so it'll make it a little bit easier for me to read. And let me move this part out of the way here. And let's see where we're at here. So again, it's called Teachers Taught, Exodus 18. And so then we'll continue reading here. I'll start reading here. Got a little bit ahead of myself here. Teachers Taught, Exodus chapter 18. So when Jethro heard of all that God had done for Moses and how the children of Israel had been brought up out of Egypt, he went out to meet his son-in-law encamped at the mountains of Elohim. So who is Jethro? Okay, let's go back. We are going to read again what his name means. Jethro. Hebrew means preeminent. It starts at Exodus chapter 3:1. Reliance. So Jethro is a reliant confidant. You can depend upon Jethro. Heard of all that God had done for Moses and how the children of Israel had been brought up out of Egypt, he went out to meet his son-in-law encamped at the mountain of Elohim. So he was, in other words, he went up to the mountain, and you can see all. You know what I'm saying? When you actually, again, like we say, you get up on the mountain, you can see a lot more things in the valley, what is taking place below you. It also has a spiritual significance, meaning he's up in a higher, the highest part of him, spiritually and physically. Jeff also wished to see his ex-student because it was clear he had excelled his teacher. However, such was the love and respect Moses had for his teacher that, accompanied by Aaron and the 70 elders, he came out of the camp to meet and bow low before Jethro and kissed him in greeting. This tells us much about the relationship between master and ex-pupil. This tells us much about the relationship between master and ex-pupil, no matter what superior level the younger man might have obtained. He honored his teacher and the teaching behind the man that made his spiritual development possible. When they retired into the privacy of Moses' tent, Jethro was told in great detail of all that had befallen Moses since he had left Midian or Egypt. This is common practice. The student relates in objective matter the events both of his interior and exterior life to the elder, that the instructor both learn and teach from the lessons experienced. Jethro was amazed by Moses' report. He exclaimed, quote, "Blessed be Yahweh who has saved you from the power of Egypt and of Pharaoh. Now I know that Yahweh is greater than all the gods," end quote. That last remark reveals the level of Jethro. While according to rabbinical tradition, he is not an idolater. He does believe in pantheism, hierarchy, and sees Yahweh as the greatest of the gods. This is quite different from the monotheistic view, and is the dividing point between Jethro and Moses. After Moses, Aaron and the elders had shared a meal with him. Jethro offered the sacrifice he had brought to celebrate God's blessing upon their meeting. Then Moses showed Jethro how he operated a court to settle disputes between the tribes and individuals. This took all day as Moses was teaching, as well as assessing cases. Jethro, who was his senior in this experience, observed Moses was not using his energy economically and advised him to change his working method by delegating work to God-fearing and honest men who could decide the simpler cases. This would leave Moses time to teach and judge the more complex issues. The significant lesson in the above is that truth comes before everything. While Moses was now more developed than Jethro, he still took advice from his teacher in a modest way. This must have amazed the Israelites, who regarded the aristocratic prophet Moses with some awe. The inner meaning of this passage is that the awakening focus of the psyche, represented by Moses, is inclined to take responsibility for everything. This it cannot do without imposing great strain and loss of time to perform its own special tasks. One sees this before any learning process becomes automatic. Here, Jethro, representing practical and psychological experience, advises the awakening triad of Hod, Zod, Nezah, and Temporal to allow those parts of the lower psyche which are trustworthy to take over all the routine work. So in other words, you can move up, you see. Okay, move up spiritually. Example is when the mind allows calculations to be made by learned procedures that can perform perfectly without the conscious attention of the self, which has more important work to attend to. Quote, Moses listened to his father-in-law and did all he suggested, end quote. Thus, there were created a set of courts or new complexes in the psyche that dealt with routine matters, so that Moses was only concerned with major issues. What this does simply is it allows him to be basically using his time more practical and doing what I call bigger things and not the smaller things, you see. After these adjustments, Moses' ex-teacher departed to his own country or level of evolution in Midian. And that will be the end of this particular chapter. So thank you for being here. And let's see, we can get back to the place where we're going to go at here. That was chapter 19. And we're going to stop there. Again, this is a very short chapter, which is great in some ways because we get to the point here. So thank you for being here. And I wish you a good evening. Again, today is the 19th day. Is that right? No, I'm sorry, it's the 18th day. January 2026. Have a good evening. Take care.